Hello, every pony. This is your favorite fluffy pony, Venomous Pie, the pinkie pie of this little gathering here. Welcome to another episode of Bronimaniacs Discuss, and we are going on an unexciting field trip. I have with me this afternoon, Spike, Elite Yoshi.
Hello.
Coco Pamel, Mr. Scapegoat.
We're on a field trip.
Trixie, David.
Has anybody seen my pencil case?
We have Applejack, Wolfie. Wolfie.
I'm tempted to speak for her.
She's muted.
Yeah. Well, she is still present. We have our Mod Pie, which is Little Looney.
See that fire in my eyes? That means I'm not happy.
We have our Sunset Shimmer, Crimson.
Oh, I'm so going to rage on this one, and my persona is angered as well.
Cheese Sandwich, Drizzle.
Don't worry, I got my pizza back, guys.
No!
Hey.
Okay. There you are, Wolfie. Sorry. And we have our sweet belle, Kitty Rosie.
Hey guys. How are you
And,
doing today?
and lastly, we have ourselves a special guest with us, who is currently in some financial troubles right now. So if you look in the description below, you will see a link to her GoFundMe page. Please donate or just spread the word and just show your support. It would be much appreciated.
Feel her there. I definitely need to make one of those GoFundMe pages.
And who I am referring to is the one, the only, a longtime friend of ours, DreamSage.
Hi.
And the episode we'll be discussing, and the reason why we're going into the woods for this field trip, is because the episode is about non-compete clause. And how this will work is we go in a random order on one positive for the episode, then we will go in reverse order for our one negative, and then we will give our final rating. And it'll be out of 5 stars, and then it'll all be divided into a group rating. So up first shall be Looney.
Oh, man.
Okay. After watching the episode just released Searching for a Positive, I do actually like the scene where the students combine their efforts to save Applejack and Rainbow Dash from the bite of kudos. They just call it the Kudos. It does at least show that they learned a valuable lesson about teamwork, even if it's a little bit cliche. Also, this might just be nitpicking, but why did Ocellus feel the need to disguise herself as a bigger fish? Couldn't they have still hoisted Applejack and Rainbow Dash out of the vines and branches?
Well, they could probably still jump up and bite through. You'd be surprised how high fish can jump above the water.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Sounds
all I got
fishy
my
to me.
positive, though. That's all I could come up with. That's a good sign of what's to come.
So who to pass it off to?
Hey, pass it off to Drizzle.
Oh, do I have to repeat myself?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, like I said, his is about the students, so is mine. I really just, I don't know. I like how they were more like a modern day main 6 type of thing here. They get along really well. Back before they used to split the episodes in half, and that's probably the only thing I could find about this episode that I liked. The rest of it is just annoying. Okay, I didn't even watch it. I can't watch it twice. I don't want to. I refuse to because I'm not even a huge critic type person. I can't. If I don't like something, I don't like it. It's just funny. I don't even have an issue with TV shows a lot of the time. So yeah, just if I rewatch it, it's probably just gonna be for the parts with the students.
Hey, Drizzle.
What?
I think you think the episode is so bad that your mic gave out.
No, the episode should have been called Non-Complete Plots, not Non-Complete Clause.
Yes. You're still having mic problems, dude.
I know.
Hey, yeah, Ben, I think you're going to subtitle this episode, Deja Vu.
Non-complete plots.
I've been in this place before.
And,
All right.
You could name it not complete students.
anyways, where do you pass it off to if you finish?
Kimoto-chan Kitty Bell again.
I guess my positives basically I like how the season mostly concentrating on the students instead of just like the original main six, and I find it cute that they're like actually getting along and becoming like another group of main six like the original and such, and it makes me excited for like the future season finals. Like maybe it's gonna be them saving Equestria this time instead of like the original main six and such. And yeah.
Well, yeah, I can see that. Who do you pass it off to?
I guess I'll pass it on to or Coco Pamel, I guess.
Alright, scapegoat.
Okay. One of my positives I'd say for the episode is I like the Buster Keaton moment that Rainbow and Applejack share when they're both building the bridges over each other. And it's like something's gonna happen in this domino effect. It was just neat how when falling it just moved perfectly into making a snare net of vines and trees.
Yeah, the only thing I was thinking during that moment was the question of why not use both? They're both required to build a bridge, you know.
Yeah. It's just interesting to see the two elements go together.
I can see that. So, who do you pass it off to?
I'll pass it off to Crimson and his persona.
Okay. Well, we're going to start off with this. My positive so far is that we got to see the main six, actually one of the two best characters in this episode, work together again. This isn't the first time.
No, it isn't.
And what makes it interesting, that competing, it kind of seems like they're trying to show teamwork, but instead they're going in different directions the wrong way. The students, however, kind of got along with it just fine because it looks like they know what they were doing a bit more. The Applejack of swap.
So, if you finish Crimson, who do you pass it off to?
I'm sorry about that. I had a slight interruption on my end.
That's alright.
As I was saying, doesn't it feel like the role of how they're supposed to get along has swapped around?
I felt the same way.
Yeah, I felt like a little bit of deja vu of like the role has been switched around because they're supposed to be learning how to get along, but instead it's like the students are showing the teachers how to do it right. And with that, I guess I'll pass it over to DreamSage if she's all right with it.
Me? Okay. I have to agree with pretty much everyone else. This episode didn't do very well, so the best parts were the students. Specifically, I have to say that my favorite of the students today was between two of them. Did like an extra good job, I thought, in terms of how they were implemented in the story. was Smolder is so sassy. I love her. She's adorable. And Hasbro has confirmed Smolder is a girl, so I am correct on that. I've had people try to correct me before, but no, Smolder is a chick. The other one was Ocellus, especially, not just when she did do her transformation later into the Bidacuda to drive them off. And you did see the Bidacudas, jumping up and biting at the vines on the sides where the other students ended up having to grab onto to get them out of danger. I do think that's part of why she had to kind of run them off, was so they didn't bite at the other students while they were saving them. So that might have been it. But the other thing was, even before that, was she was one of the first two along with Smolder to point out, well, this isn't awkward at all.
I will admit, there was
how teamwork is supposed to work. And they were, Ocellus especially also was the one who assured Yona when she was getting into the canoe, and was one of the two that helped save her when she couldn't swim. So those two students specifically did really good. The rest were kind of there, and they were still the better part of the story than the teachers were. So yeah, the students have to be the best part. No, Ocellus was the best positive for me in that one.
I can very well see that.
I'm sorry if I started to babble.
Oh, you're fine, Dream. You're absolutely fine. So, who do you pass it off to?
I think Elite is next. I don't think they've gone yet.
Yeah, Elite hasn't gone yet, so you can pass it off to him.
Neither is David.
Turn.
So, you're passing off to Yoshi, correct? Or did you say something else?
Oh, I'm just waiting.
Okay.
Pass it off to Elite, Venom, or David.
Alright, so can I go then?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so pretty much like everyone else, I'm not exactly that positive with this episode overall. And before I do list my positive, I've got to say, DreamSage, you did good listing your positive.
Thank you.
Yep. So yeah, so pretty much I'm pretty much sharing the same sentiments as everybody else here. I didn't like this episode a lot. But if there was one thing that I did like about it, was with the students. I want to highlight one student in particular, Ocellus. Seriously, Ocellus is probably becoming my favorite of all the students.
Same
I don't know why. She's just like Fluttershy. She's like Fluttershy, but as a changeling, and she is just so adorable.
I agree.
I don't know why. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's hard because I think between all the students, I think my two of the favorite has to be Ocellus and what's the name of the hippogriff?
Silverstream?
Yeah, and Silverstream. Seriously, Silverstream is like another Pinkie Pie. Like, what would it be like if Pinkie Pie was a hippogriff? Yeah.
That does make sense because she is the niece of Princess Skystar.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I gotta admit, the scenes with Ocellus were actually were both adorable and really funny. Especially how she managed to get a scare off of what's the griffin? I can't seem to remember all of them. I remember Yona, Ocellus, Silverstream. What was the griffin's name?
Gallus, I think.
Gallus. His name is Gallus.
Gallus. How she managed to scare Gallus. How that actually made me laugh a bit.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, it's with this episode, you really root for the students in this episode. I don't know why. It's just they feel like they're literally the best characters out of this whole episode.
So in other words, it kind of sounds like they're replacing the original main six.
or as I like to say it, how the main six should be acting, or at least in this particular case, Applejack and Rainbow Dash.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But we'll get to that. I'll get to that in a bit. So okay then. So am I able to choose the order who I want to pick next, or do I have to pass it off to you?
You can choose.
All right. So who hasn't gone yet?
That'd be David, myself, Wolfie, and Crimson. Oh wait, sorry, Crimson already went.
Lol.
Yeah, he went. Yeah, Crimson, and it was DreamSage, and it was me.
So it's David, myself, or Wolfie. Well, Wolfie wants to go last, so it's either me or David.
Oh yeah, she wants to go last. So all right, Venom, you go ahead.
Okay. Alright, I could go with the easy positive, saying the Student 6. And by the way, that is definitely the biggest positive of the episode. Not gonna lie. But here's actually something that I want to point out, because I hope this doesn't become a pattern. But it would have to be Pinkie Pie's moments during the beginning. And this would actually look into all of our negatives at this point, so it would have been a good segue. Basically, moral of the story, kids, if Pinkie Pie says this is a bad idea, then this really is a bad idea. She did it in Honest Apple, she did it here.
Always trust the best pony.
Whoa.
But the way she addressed it that it's a bad idea, it actually did make me chuckle a bit. It's like when she said, when Twilight asked who better to model the importance of working as a team, Pinkie just like, Rowdy? Fluttershy? Me? Spike? This flower pot?
The flower pot has meaning.
So basically what Pinkie was saying is, get your head screwed on straight, Twilight. Applejack and Raven Dash are polar opposites of teamwork. So yeah, I thought that boy was legitimately funny. And the main reason I did this is because I wanted to say a different positive. That being said, I'll pass it off to David.
Wow. When I first watched this episode, I felt like it was repeating history, kind of. All the positives so far that everyone said. Yeah, the students were the highlight. Of Celis, Silverstream, all of them, they were the highlight of the episode. No ifs or buts, But my positive was that I was happy to see Twilight at the beginning of the episode, taking charge, because she hasn't really stepped up since she started the school of friendship. Like she is the head mayor and everything. And in this episode, I really found out that she was really stepping up her game since opening the school. And this was her first assigning this field trip for the students and assigning Rainbow Dash and Applejack to do a field trip away from the school. And yeah, I really thought Twilight really was good in this episode, because even though she wasn't the main focus, I'm glad that they started off that, hey, come on, we're doing a field trip. I want, you and you to do this with the students. So I really like how they emphasized Twilight's role in this episode.
Can I add something to that, David?
Yeah.
Am I the only one was I the only one who was straight up cheering when Twilight was telling Applejack and Rainbow Dash off?
Yeah, I was actually having a smile on my face.
Actually, yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I was honestly hoping she'd take over.
Huh. Yeah, she's like, I'm taking control of this field trip.
And that was my positive.
That was fantastic, but then she didn't do anything at the end, and I'll get into that later. But That one moment with Twilight was great. I just wish it would have continued through the episode.
Yeah, but like this episode was sort of hard to keep focus on her, even though she was like, okay, we got your assignments, now go. And I don't know what Rarity and Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy were doing, because they were probably just like, I guess they went home.
Well, they could be teaching the classes.
They could have been teaching.
They've got more students than the main 6, you guys. Remember, there's still a bunch of other like pony students, so they were probably teaching their own classes.
Maybe they were teaching their other classes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I think that should be a good segue towards Wolfie.
Mm-hmm.
Since my positive has already been stated, another one was that. Oh, that is a scene that I'm with. Anyway, but.
This is going to be the best podcast ever.
Okay, there she is.
Okay.
Sorry about that, Wolfie.
You have the stage or platform.
So are we on the negatives now, or are we still on positives?
We can go on a negative.
And I'm starting, right?
Yes, you're starting because you went last.
My negative is the constant bickering between Rainbow Dash and Applejack. Basically, the voice actress was arguing with herself, but still, the bickering was uncomfortable. Constant bickering made the kids uncomfortable, and that's my negative. So I'll just.
All right, go ahead, David. Go on. Sorry.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, my negative was kind of similar to what Wolfie just said. Like Twilight made it clear. I thought they'd been past this. I thought we'd been past this huge competition thing between AJ and Rainbow Dash. Like, they were supposed to be teaching these students about this focus on getting along and, working together, compromising. And all they did through the whole episode was one-up each other.
Mm.
And like I said, the students were the key of redeeming the whole outlook of the episode. Because without the students there, I bet the whole episode would have been Rainbow Dash and another fall weather friends, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
That was my negative. I was like, come on, you two, really?
All right, my turn.
You're supposed to be teachers, not hecklers, But, okay, that's my negative.
Alright, my turn. Okay. Alright, my negative is the entire conflict. And keep in mind, I was thinking this ever since I first heard the premise. My instincts told me that this episode was gonna fall apart. It's beyond cringy, and the fact we've seen all this before and done better. Fall with a Friend, anyone? And there's another episode I'm thinking of that actually did this concept but done better. DreamSage, you're probably gonna hate me for making this comparison. Just forewarn ya. But SpongeBob SquarePants did this episode better. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the episode that's called Employee of the Month, where SpongeBob and Squidward were competing for Employee of the Month. And do you know why that episode was done better? Because that episode was actually very funny. And they still did the jobs properly, unlike Applejack and Rainbow Dash, who constantly screw up. So when not only a past episode of the same show did it better, but also another episode from another TV show did it better, then there's a problem. I've been holding this in my chest for a little while, and that's about all I'm gonna say about it. Just the entire conflict of the episode. Not only was it very, very cliche and forced, but the episode as a whole was just straight up boring. Whew.
I got a few smiles in the episode, but throughout the episode, I wasn't really like laughing a lot. I don't know why. I was just like, I couldn't really find anything to take away from this episode.
And again, I'll say it again because I said it in my positive, and I'll say it again here. If Pinkie Pie says that this is a bad idea, then this really is a bad idea.
You listen to the pink one.
But you didn't think it was a bad idea to use lit fireworks as a light in the previous episode.
Yeah, you might want to retract that statement.
I'm sorry. Don't kill me, audience. I didn't do it.
Anyways.
It's not your fault. It's the writer's fault.
Yeah, I'm gonna say more about this, but I'm saving it till the very end. So that being said, I'll pass it up to Yoshi.
Thank you. And before I list my negative, I'd actually like to add on to what you just said. And also, with this being the 8th season of MLP, I'm afraid that we're actually running into one of the very problems that made modern SpongeBob get hated by so many people, recycling plot points from other episodes, which is exactly what this episode did. I mean, it was very similar and everything, and yes, this is actually tying into my... Okay, Wolfie, to be fair, you do have a point. The Simpsons and Family Guy are guilty of the same thing, but SpongeBob kind of did it. But yes, this actually does tie into my negative as a whole. Why? And why do I bring this up? Because the whole thing is, the conflict between Applejack and Rainbow Dash, it was completely pointless. That's basically how I felt through the whole episode. It just felt completely pointless. I mean, when they did it in Fall Weather Friends, it made sense. Rainbow Dash should, yeah, I know, I sometimes do that. Actually, that's actually what sounds. Actually, if they were to do a fusion, I bet you that's what their name would be.
Oh God!
Yay! We're gonna have a fusion episode.
Needs to be in the chat going ship.
Oh, dear God, what have you started?
Okay. Anyway, yeah. The thing is, with Fall Weather Friends, their conflict made a lot of sense. Applejack and Rainbow Dash are both athletic ponies, and the fact that the event was based around who could be the faster pony, whether if it was the Iron Pony competition they did, or the race, or participating in the race with Fall Weather Friends, it actually made sense. Not to mention that them trying to one up each other also made sense, considering the fact that their stubbornness and pride always, gets in the way of what they were actually trying to do. I mean, think about it. What's the point of them doing the running of the leaves? Jedi, I was already a fan of that. Jedi, I was already a fan of that ship before it even became a thing. But anyway, so yeah, one of the things is like it even made sense that when they try to one up each other in that episode, it made sense because both athletes trying to see who is the better of the two. put in non-compete clause, it's just pointless. There's no need for them to compete with one another when the whole goal of the field trip was to help the students learn how to work together as a team. And they completely failed at that. I mean, you know that they failed when it's ultimately the students who have to end up rescuing the teachers. And I know that some people can say, well, in a way, they succeeded. Well, no, here's the thing. Sorry, I'm just kind of getting a little frustrated with this episode.
And I'll blame you, dude.
Yeah. And the thing that really bothers the crap out of me with this episode is that it just feels completely pointless. Oh yeah, and also to add on to my negative, the episode was just boring overall. Seriously. And there he goes again, making a Wonder Pets reference.
Well, that's my brother's for you. What's gonna work? Teamwork.
Is it a bad thing?
Oh god, that was such a good show. But anyway, I haven't been this bored by an episode since Dragon Ball Super Episode 5. You know, if anyone actually knows what I'm talking about, it's that one episode where they reenacted the Goku versus Beerus scene from Battle of Gods, but had the really bad animation to go with it. Just to think, not even a badly animated Super Saiyan 3 Goku would be enough to save this episode.
Oh god.
Yep. Trust me, I've been saving that joke for some time.
I was cringing though the way how their battle animation started. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I know. I showed the footage to Looney last night, and he
Made
even
for
thought it was
TV
bad, and he doesn't even
budget.
watch Dragon Ball. Yeah, I was trying to say was I even showed the footage to Looney, and he even thought that it was bad, even though he doesn't watch Dragon Ball.
I know bad animation when I see it.
Yep, pretty much. But yeah, that's pretty much my negative in a nutshell. The conflict just felt completely pointless, and on top of that, it was extremely boring. The only time where I wasn't bored with the episode was when it was focused on the students. I mean, they were pretty much everything in the episode. The comedy, you know, the good parts, and pretty much everything else. So, yeah. I think that's pretty much all I have to say about that episode, so go ahead, DreamSage. I know what you're going to say next.
Nicely done, Yoshi.
Got 3 main points that I've been thinking of that I do want to go over for a negative. And I am admittedly, you guys, still very nervous being on this podcast. So I do apologize if I start to babble or trail off a little bit, because I do that when I'm nervous. So I'll do my best not to. I do want to start out with, because I know Venom did point it out here, and I just want to be clear. I hate SpongeBob. If you like it, I completely respect you. Enjoy it all you want. I have hated it since the pilot episode, and then it got worse and worse and worse. So I've just never been a fan because it is not my thing, okay? So I just want to get that clear really quick. Now, as far as this episode goes, as I mentioned, there are 3 big main plot points in the overall episode that I want to address, which really hindered it. Number 1 is, of course...
Sorry for interrupting, but you can only pick one.
Oh, I have to pick one?
Yeah, it's one per person.
They all kind of tie together, though. Well, okay. So let me at least... I'll start with the biggest one, then. So, here's the thing. Oh, what, Daniel? Afterwards.
Wow.
Oh, jeez. Here we go.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing, but he just made it too easy.
I'm confused.
Anyways.
Here's the main thing for my negatives there is, of course, Applejack themselves and the overall premise between them fighting so much. You know, yeah, we've done this story before, but here's the other thing that I haven't really heard touched on yet. Episodes where they've done this better and it was good already. So I don't understand why it's bad this time. I mean, the episode with Buckball, you guys. I mean, I was better at Rainbow Dash at a sport. Fluttershy is better than Applejack and Rainbow again, but this time at being a teacher and getting the students to vote for her.
Oh, I didn't really think about that.
Doesn't make sense when it's just not that far ago back in the season, and that was a fantastic episode on different ways of playing a game, but also the teamwork. I mean, it didn't take Rainbow Dash and Applejack more than a few minutes actually sitting and talking about it that they were like, and that doesn't sound like our friends. And the whole time that they themselves were playing the game, working perfectly well as a team. But here, they just couldn't set aside the competition the whole time. And they didn't even learn anything at the end of it. Which I know Applejack has done before with the, I didn't learn anything. And this is exactly what they did before. Now, in the middle part of the episode, when they're talking with, oh, yeah, we get it. This is what we did wrong. We can agree on stuff. And then they took it too far. And in the end of the episode, they're still freaking arguing. You know, it's been done before bad. But the other thing is, it's been done before right. And so that's even worse in terms of, you know, stepping back as a character. But that's one of the big things for me.
I didn't really think of the Buckball season comparison until you brought it up.
Nobody did. That's why I was like, I'm surprised nobody's brought this up yet, but this was already done, and it was done good. So why did they make a bad one now this season? Did they just run out of ideas at this point, and they've got to use some of the bad ones at least?
Most likely.
Well,
Yeah,
they all 8 seasons in.
As
Well,
Yoshi
you know what?
said already, I
I
feel
do
the same
wanna-
way with other TV shows that run on a long time and start to lose their lust, like Family Guy, for example. After season 12, I just can't take it anymore. The episodes.
You know, I didn't want to. I wanted to wait till after this podcast was done to bring this issue up
Mm-hmm. As about.
about the long running.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, like I said, I do have something to say afterwards, but are you finished with your point, Dream?
Yeah, I'm done. That was the biggest thing out of the 3 that I had thought of. So I'll go ahead and let Crimson go ahead and continue now.
Not Crimson.
Come on! I see the disturbance in the forest of this episode. Are you kidding me?
Maybe.
I didn't know there was disturbance in forest. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Crimson.
Garden Pony, come on, man.
Sorry. I gotta get a little joke in
Go
there
ahead
somewhere.
with your point.
Oh my god.
Anyways, go ahead, Crimson.
On it. You know what? I may put an interesting topic into this one. This actually, I got a good feeling from Rainbow Dash and Applejack. Kind of resembles 2 of my OC brothers.
Really?
Counting Dusk is kind of the stubborn one and likes to be competitive. And basically, I can see Blaze as well, who is also a brother of my OC's. That personality is for stubbornness that fits Applejack better with a capital A. And I'm like face palming, and I'm like, oh god, these 2, they're even worse than my OC's brothers combined. And when I saw the students that alternate, like the teacher was supposed to be saving the students, but it was all reversed. And I'm going like, oh gosh, now I can see why Sage and I have to deal with this mess. It's like, ugh. I'm sorry to say, but it kind of seems like a brotherly like rivalry there for that episode. It kind of reminded me of how much brothers would be bickering on who's better, even though when they're teaching a class.
Mm-hmm.
So for that is all my negative. I'm just cringing at the fact that I had that image in my head, and I'm like, what have you done to me with this episode? Now, if you don't mind, I'm gonna shrink into Mini-Me and hide in Dream's main.
And that opens the floor for Scapegoat.
Alright. My biggest negative to what was going on was Rainbow and Applejack in the middle when they were pretending to like each other. It was horrible to listen to that back and forth. It's like, I think you should tell us which way to go. No, I insist you go that way.
Yeah, that was hard to watch.
I know the cliché's been done, but to watch a second half of a thing where they're constantly doing it, it just becomes grating.
That got old real.
Like a record skipping.
Oh, jeez, yeah, that's right.
Or nails on a chalkboard, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that's.
Alright.
I guess some of my negatives kind of like how in the second half they were still going at it, but in an even more annoying way.
Yeah, it's a total opposite problem.
Yeah.
I'm like, why though?
So Kitty, I believe it's your turn. Kitty Rosie?
I had to turn on my mic.
Okay, sorry.
Negative, right?
Yep, negative.
I don't know. I guess I just didn't like how the episode was just really boring and confusing because of their arguing and such. So I just didn't really like this episode. Just so confusing and really boring, agreeing with everybody else.
I thought the mod couple was
Well,
supposed to be
this isn't awkward.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I got. Just didn't really like it.
Alright, Drizzle?
What? Oh god. Is this thing on? Get my hair all ready to go. Okay. Anyways, negative. Well, I mean, I guess more on the fact that they were doing the reused plot deal. Why did they reverse it at the end? What? Like Twilight scolds them for being little babies, and I thought you were past this, only for them to like switch it up by being like agreeing with everything. Because nobody likes those people. Have you ever had somebody come up to you and agree with everything you say? Like, no, I say we do it your way. Well, I don't know. That got frustrating too.
Mind if I add on to this?
Yeah, like I said, nails on a chalkboard.
Oh god. Anyways, was I the only one that kind of got a reference how it's like when you say the roles had been reversed? Here.
Robot.
Huh? I didn't catch the reference.
Robot Crimson.
How? Am I a robot?
Kinda.
Anyways, continue, Drizzle.
Well, I guess the point being, why would they split the episode in half in terms of them annoying each other through arguing, and then another one at the end with them agreeing with each other? It's like half the episode too. Again, it's like a majority of the episode. Also, keep in mind, Scapegoat, I want to just say something. Nails on a chalkboard at least has different sounds than this.
You know, it's almost like there's a
Wow,
the same thing with
that's
last week's
savage
episode.
Drizzle.
At least, yeah, when you scratch your nails on a chalkboard, it'll make a different sound every time. This is the same sound. And I guess that's where my thing ends.
You know, they did the same thing with last week's episode. Push the plot out halfway through.
I get the feeling I see the two of them acting based off Naruto characters that one up each other. I cringed at that moment.
Oh, Naruto and Sasuke.
Yes, that's what they remind me.
Naruto and Sasuke get along pretty well too.
Well, at first.
Sometimes. They're like the best friend type. They argue a lot, but they always mean well.
Yeah, they're frenemies.
Basically, yeah.
Anyways, Looney Boy.
Alright. I'd say my most major flaw of this episode is the ending. Just before the credits start rolling, it is made quite apparent that Applejack and Rainbow Dash learned absolutely nothing as they start bickering, just as they were all throughout the episode. For crying out loud, you're supposed to be teachers at Twilight School of Friendship, constant arguing throughout the entire episode is setting a bad example to your students. What if they picked up the wrong message? Like, many of them come from cultures that haven't exactly gotten along with ponies in the past, like griffins, dragons, yaks, changelings. Like, since they're still clearly young and impressionable, it would have been very easy for them to come back with the wrong message. Ugh.
Hey,
Can we ask, where the heck was Twilight during all this? Why is she just walking around at random ass areas?
Like, ugh, and Mexus was just very, very skewed, and that miserable excuse for anything just killed her.
Twilight should have just took over the whole field trip to begin with.
Yeah, but like she was at the beach with them. Why is she visiting these places? Was it ever specified what she's doing here? I mean, she couldn't have known. I mean, I guess she could have known, but like, why did she know the exact location they were at every time?
I'm sensing problems in friendship force.
I got it.
I got that reference.
I sense a disturbance in the friendship force.
No, great. Next thing we know, episode in space.
Anyways, can I expand on what you said, Looney? And I have referenced in a past episode here.
Sure, go ahead.
Alright, I really, really, really hate to admit that I can't believe I'm saying this, but even though Chancellor Naysay is a racist a-hole, he does have a point.
Huh? Who?
Chancellor Naysay.
The protagonist from the very first episode, the guy who tried to steal off the school and insult all the other races, that's who he's talking about.
That guy who kind of almost looked like Doctor Strange, but he's not.
Mr. Brownie Face.
AKA the pony who was voiced by Brain. Anyways.
Pinky and the Brain, the Pinky and the Brain.
One is...
Sorry.
Anyways, that's what I was saying. Yeah, even though they say he is a racist, he is an a-hole, but he does have legit criticisms towards school. Being misorganized, and as prominent in this episode, hiring ponies who are unqualified for teaching.
Yeah, they kind of set that up.
You know what's actually funny?
What?
The Wilstonator actually said the same thing in his 30-second reaction to this episode.
I'm aware. Yeah, that's all I have to say. For now.
Yeah, like I was saying, that ending just killed what would have otherwise been a meh episode.
I thought the writers knew what they were doing.
Well, in other words, they were running out of ideas. Boy, what we could have figured.
Actually, guys, the writer for this episode is also brand new.
Oh, never mind then. I take back what I said.
Okay.
Wait, the writer's not even brand new?
The writer is brand new for this episode.
Oh, probably didn't watch the first 7 seasons then.
That's the thing, too, that we should talk about after.
I really don't get that. If you are working as a writer on a show, and this is something you're getting paid for, you would think they would do some research.
Sure. And what should
I
do?
have
Go back and
research on the
research
video
T3.
games I play sometimes.
Well, if we're gonna do research, we need to call Twilight for that.
And
Yeah. What does she do?
Thanks,
Go back and
looking at
research T.
this. Oh. Hey,
What does
look at
she-
it this way. At least he didn't write. At least he wasn't a writer for Johnny Test.
fair enough.
What does she do? Go back and research Generation 3.
No.
Look at this. Twilight Sparkle, she wrote a play in the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
She wrote that entire rule book that she looks at in the beginning of the damn
Yeah,
episode.
my God, how much brain does she have up in her head?
Probably all in the books.
She probably wrote a book on how to write a book.
Anyways, I think we should move on to our ratings. For those who are unable to make it, Blitz gave this episode a 1, while Balto and Sunny gave it a 2. So I'll start with you, Looney.
You know, it's like Smolder herself said. Listening to these two argue and compete with each other over something as petty as building a barn or pounding a canoe, it's just awkward and tosses aside whatever character development they've had up to this point. I'm just gonna say it now and rank this episode a 1 out of 5. Sorry, episode, you fail.
And it's ruining our stream.
But in other words, this episode needs to go. Not Pokemon Go, actual Go.
Anyways, Drizzle?
Okay, while the episode itself isn't very entertaining for me, I do like some of the parts in there. If not, there were a lot of interesting moments, I guess. But I'm gonna have to give it 3 out of 5.
Okay. I won't be surprised if this is the highest rating given, so at this point. But you never know. So, Kitty?
Drizzle's too nice.
2 stars. I don't like it.
Wow, that was swift.
Outshined by
Ruin
Emoto-chan.
episode and ruin
She's
our
coming
stream.
for-
I don't like it.
Emoto-chan's outshining me.
Blah.
Scapegoat?
I'll give it a 2.5.
Okay. Oh, pretty spread around when it comes to the ratings. Huh, not sure how to feel about that. Let's see, who's next? Crimson?
$1.5 out of 5.
Dang, that's low.
Still better than Loonies and Blitzes. Juice! Oh my god, I'm so thirsty. Don't you just love it when there's room juice?
Alright, Dream?
To say the same thing. I was gonna do 3 out of 5 at the very most.
Hey!
Ocellus
I'm
and
not-
Mulder and the other students, they were the only good parts. The rest of it just.
Yes, she has the same thoughts. I gave it 3 out of 5 because the student parts were really good.
You gotta love the students at least. So
Yes, I love Smolder and
Veteran?
Ocellus.
It's 3 out of 5, but the writer really needs to go back and watch the other stories. Yeah, this just it didn't work. But other than that, yeah, 3 out of 5 at the most. That's being generous.
Alright. Yoshi?
Well, I think I'm going to start by quoting DeWilsonator on what he said. What happens when you take all the fun parts of Fall with Our Friends and Cart Before the Ponies? Yeah, you get this episode in a nutshell. Now, I will say this. This episode isn't terrible, mind you. If I were to describe it in my own opinion, it's painfully average, to say the least. I will admit, though, one thing I can say is that the students definitely did save this episode from going below below, below average.
Yeah, Flying That
And,
Call for the Ponies is a good episode.
Huh?
You know what he means.
I wasn't finished.
Anyways, continue.
But alright, anyway. This episode was painfully average for me, to say the least. And, well, as a whole, yeah, the students actually were the one thing that saved this episode from going average for me. Now, many of you may know I usually give 2 ratings when it comes to these episodes. My own personal rating, which doesn't affect the group's rating at all, and the one for the podcast. So, as my own personal rating, I'm giving this episode a 5 out of 10. Or maybe a SpongeBob did it better out of 10 or something like that. And no, I'm not trying to trigger you, Dream. I was just trying to make a joke here. That's all.
I know, but if you guys keep talking about how I don't like SpongeBob, then people are going to keep bringing it up to trigger me. So
I'm not triggering you, Dream. I was just trying to make a joke. Kind of like how some of those.
Rub the Garmpone's head.
No, like those reviews in less than 10 words, like that.
Yeah, we get it.
Like that.
We got what you mean, bud.
But yeah, as a group rating overall, the group rating, it's, well, what a 5 out of 10 equals. 2 out of 5 stars. 2.5 out of 5.
Alright. 2.5 it is. Alright. Okay, as for me, before I give my rating for this episode, I want to say one thing. I know it's so early on, but I'm very disappointed in how Season 8 is going. And, don't get me wrong, there are still several entertaining episodes in there. Like, the premiere was a good start, okay? Horseplay was freaking hilarious. And so was Granny's Gone Wild. Surf and Turf is also a pretty good episode, in my eyes. However, well, I'm not saying about the mod couple because that episode was also kind of boring. But about the good episodes I mentioned, all of these episodes would have been utterly fantastic if it were just one teensy critical element. Like, all it would take is one thing to fix, and then it would have been borderline amazing. Well, because of that one thing, the episode just turned out to be just good. I still haven't got the whole, oh my gosh, this is amazing kind of episode. The season so far. Now, I'm not asking every episode to be like Pinky Pride or Amending Fences or The Perfect Pair. I'm not asking that. That would be unfair. But none of the other episodes really stood out to me. Like, for repeat viewing. It's like, yeah, they were good episodes, but I probably won't watch them again anytime soon. And, yep, and now we come to this episode, which by far is the first episode this season that I do not like. I disliked it when I saw the preview. I even disliked it when I saw the premise of the episode. I knew this episode was gonna fall apart. And I was right, but I am ashamed that I am right. And I really hope this isn't how the season is gonna go from that point on. I'm so optimistic about it, but I'm not getting my hopes up.
I think the only episode this season that has any kind of rewatch value is Granny's Gone Wild. That's one episode out of 9.
And well, for me, it would be Horseplay.
Horseplay, too. But can I add on to what you were going to say, Venom?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, and as a little fun fact, this was actually one of the very few episodes that I watched when all the episodes got leaked. But, to tell you the truth, I kept it a secret because I didn't want to tell anyone. So, at least I did a good job. At least I did a good job with not spoiling it for anyone.
That's true.
I don't think you would have spoiled much after this.
Probably
Well,
not.
you remember when the season 8 leaks were, people were very sensitive with hearing the information. So
I'm a big person who I don't like spoilers, and I wouldn't watch the leaks because I know what kind of that takes away from Hasbro and the earnings, and that's going to affect the show if people keep doing that. My thing was just considering what this episode in this case really didn't do anything, it wouldn't have been as much of a loss of any other episode being spoiled,
Well, to tell you the truth, I only watched it once. I did watch the episode yesterday when it aired on TV.
That was the first time me seeing it, and I had to try so hard to skip parts through the first watching. I'm like, no, I've got to watch it all the way through at least once, but oh my god, this is already really, really bad.
Oh yeah, I myself really don't like spoilers. And about what you've been saying about trying to avoid the episode when it got leaked and everything, that's me with Infinity War. I still have not seen it. I do not wish to be spoiled about it because I want to see it so freaking badly.
You and me
better
are on the
hurry up.
same
That
boat.
crap is gonna get harder to avoid spoilers for the longer you wait, and it's a really good movie if you don't get spoiled.
Oh, I have my ways of avoiding spoilers. Trust me. But back on. But go on.
Wasn't important. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Back on topic. For this episode in particular, it's an easy skip. You could skip this episode and you would miss pretty much nothing. So I'm gonna give it a 2-star rating. The first episode of season 8, I officially don't like. So, David?
I have to say that this was one of the weaker episodes of the season. I was going into this episode with kind of high hopes, but sadly I was disappointed. I mean, so I guess what I'm trying to say is 2.5.
Okay.
Out of 5, I guess. So, yeah.
Alright. 2.5 it is.
I didn't realize it was out of 5. I thought it was out of 10. So, oops.
That's okay.
I made that mistake too.
It probably would have been down to 1 star out of 5 then instead of 3. Sorry.
Do you want to have that changed, Dream?
If it's an issue for you, you don't have to. You can leave it, but
Oh no, I could change it. That's no problem.
and I enjoyed the students, but I don't want to give this episode that high a rating. It was not that good.
This episode doesn't deserve any praise.
Wait, Dream, you said you were gonna give it 3 out of 10, right?
3 out of 10, so we probably closer to 1.5 at the most.
That's basically 3 out of 10 is basically the equivalent of 1.5 out of 5.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep, so let's just give that rating to you then, if you don't mind. That's the kind of the same
Well,
thing.
I'm sorry.
That's alright. I've encountered people that made the same mistake. It's all good. I mean, I have my share of mistakes too. So, Wolfie, sorry for the delay. Wolfie?
She's having connection issues.
I think
She mentioned earlier she
that's
gives
her-
it a 0.5.
Yeah.
What does she? What does she give it? Sorry.
0.5 out of 5.
0.5?
Yes.
Can she really go that low?
Yeah, I think that's possible.
Yeah,
That's a half-star rating out of 5.
That's that. Yeah, true. It is a half. Wait, what?
I
It
think
is
so.
a half a star.
Wow, that's the lowest rating you could possibly give.
How much lower can you go?
She is Applejack after all. I mean, she's probably angry that she got in so many arguments.
Yeah, see, it says right here, sticking with 0.5 out of 5.
Alright, that was a good one.
Oh,
Yes,
man.
0.5 out of 5. Horrible episode.
If Konata were here, he'd be arguing with you.
Pretty much.
And I thought my rating was low.
Boy, how low can you go?
Limbo! Chaka chaka chaka.
How
More
low?
room juice.
Alright. I did the math. Alright, guys, I did the math, and yes, I double checked myself.
Looney, drum roll.
The overall rating for the episode is a 1.5. Making it.
Yay! Oh, that's
Yay.
Not,
Yeah.
no,
that's
heavy
big
weapons
surprise.
guy, not the big
That's big
surprise.
Ooh.
This is
So didn't do so good.
yeah. This is hands down the lowest rated episode this season so far.
I'd say it's the lowest
Oh.
rated episode of the entire series.
Although, if you think about it, this isn't exactly the lowest rated episode the lowest rating we give for any episode we've read thus far.
Honest apple. Sorry, I had something in my throat.
And on his apple, Applejack learned a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
This episode, they don't. That completely kills it.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think we went about this train wreck long enough.
Oh,
I gotta run to the
we still
store.
have lots of trains to go through.
Yeah, we've given this episode way more attention than it honestly deserves.
Let's still talk about it.
No, I think that's good enough.
Let's tell you what. Let's send this episode on a field trip and hope it gets low.
let's shove this episode in Larson's face.
Oh God,
We need that pancake drawing.
no.
We need him to write our name on a pancake.
Alright.
No.
Okay, guys. So, yeah, that's about all for today. Wow. This podcast actually might be more entertaining than the episode itself.
Oh man,
But,
Well, that's not hard
that's
to
saying something. That's saying something.
anyways, thank you all so much for tuning in. Tune in next week where we talk about the breakup breakdown.
Ay, ay, ay.
And knowing
Anything's gonna be better than this.
And knowing the synopsis for the episode, I'm not too hopeful, but we'll see how this goes. Best thing I can say is, surprise me.
But surprises in G1.
How dare you?
I understood that reference.
I know. Pleasant surprise on Twitter.
Anywho, that being said, we'll see you guys. Special thanks to DreamSage for coming on board with us.
Woo!
Yay!
Thanks for having me.
Yay. No, don't go.
No,
You
anyway,
just left.
that was Wolfie. Dream, what did you say? I didn't catch that.
Thank you for having me. I know you've invited me a few times and I didn't have time before now that I could jump in. And thank you again also for helping to promote the issue I'm going through and all that. Not good at doing self-promoting because I don't like being pushy and all that. So
me, I don't either.
appreciate it. Just to clarify for those who are watching the stream, I know the story is listed in the GoFundMe a little bit, but I do just want to make it clear why it is, because I normally don't like accepting handouts or donations. I would rather earn and all that, but I had amount that I needed for my bills and everything coming up, and I am married and I have a husband who is stationed overseas with the Air Force right now in the Middle East. He went to pull out $100 for himself to get some groceries out there, and he accidentally pulled out $1,000. And you can't do direct cash deposits back to an American bank from the Middle East. You have to wire it in, and that can take several weeks. So that I'm in this situation. I am willing to do, if anyone wants to commission art at all, I do still have commissions open so I can earn it instead of just getting donations. But any other little bit could help me, just so I can cover any of our bills so our account doesn't get overdrawn until he gets paid, and then we'll pay everything else off and I'll be in a better place again.
Mm-hmm. Yep, any ounce of support would be highly grateful.
That's what we're all here for.
This podcast is pretty much also for her. So, with that being said,
Thank you for being so nice and supportive of me while I'm having little mini panic attacks. I was so scared doing this the first time.
No worries. Just leave the screamers.
Everyone's scared the first time.
We all get nervous on our first podcast.
Yep.
So,
Seriously, I was a train wreck in my first podcast. We did 2 that day.
yeah. Anyways, that being said, we'll see you all next time. Peace.
Yay.
Bye, Pony.
Seriously,